Hi everyone, it's Gene Calderon here again with Gene Calderon Apologetics Ministries, going through our teaching days. Every day has a different theme to it. We try to do a little bit of an alliteration with each day, and today being Thursday, we are going to focus on what we call Theology Thursday. On Theology Thursday, what we like to do is we talk about God. That's what theology is, the study of God. And what we try to understand is, what is God? How does God exist? Who is God? All these different things about God, questions about his character, his nature, his just everything we could possibly understand about God to a certain point. If our understanding of God is correct, there are certain things about God we cannot know, but there is plenty of God that we can know and understand and apply in our worship and in our study and our behavior as far as obeying him and things like that. So we want to talk about that. And today being Theology Thursday, we are going to focus on what is known as the incorporeality of God. Okay, I don't know if you've heard that word. Ever since I learned that word, I have heard it on TV shows. It could be a comedy or science fiction, but we talk about corporeality or incorporeality. And what that basically means, incorporeality means God is bodiless. He has no physical being. So whenever we talk about something being incorporeal, that means it has no physical nature. It's lacking any material or substance of itself. And so we understand, many people would understand and accept that God is infinite, but it becomes a little bit difficult to understand how God could be a personal being, because we understand that God has all of the attributes of what we would call personhood, but to an infinite degree. Like whatever he has so much more of than we could possibly understand. And since we are made in the image of God, that basically means that we can know that we share some of these attributes that God himself has. So one of those things is God personal? That's going to be something we're going to have to dig into, but let's talk about his attributes, his characteristics about being incorporeal, having no substance, having no physical being to himself. How does that work? And where do we get this idea from? Well, one of God's attributes about his bodilessness is the fact that God is spirit. I want to use some scriptures here to see where we get these from the Bible. And when we talk about God being spirit, we remember in John chapter 4, as Jesus is talking to the woman at the well, he says, John chapter 4, verse 24, God is spirit, and his worshipers must worship in spirit and in truth. We also understand that God is omnipresent, which means he is all places at all times. Regardless of how big or small those places are, he is there fully and completely. We read about this idea in Psalm 139. Verses 7 through 12 says, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me and light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you." God is also understood as being indescribable by our own senses. In 1 Timothy chapter 6, it says, "Who alone is immortal and who lives in unapproachable light, whom no one has seen or can see, to him be honor and might forever. Amen." We understand that God is invisible. One of our senses is sight. We cannot see him. Again, 1 Timothy says in chapter 1, verse 17, "Now to the King eternal, immortal, invisible, the only God, be honor and glory forever and ever. Amen." Also, making images of God and worshiping them is forbidden. Okay, now some people confuse this. So the making images, is that bad? Or making images and worshiping them, is that bad? And what we read in the scriptures, specifically what we'll see here in Exodus chapter 20, it's the worship. Because God does say create images, but they understand that those images cannot represent him, and so therefore they should not be worshipped. In Exodus chapter 20, it says, "You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above or on the earth beneath it in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of their parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments." And so the reason why God doesn't want anybody to create an image of him and then worshiping it is because any image of God, any image, no matter how beautiful or how magnificent, it will diminish God into a lesser form of what he actually is. There's no way we could create something that is equal to the understanding of who God is. And so this is why he forbids anyone creating an image of him and then worshiping it. So that's the idea of God's bodylessness. It can't even be contained in an image. Now, some people might ask, well, what about portrayals of Jesus? Jesus came and he was a human being, and we know that what human beings look like. And that's true. Yeah, there are people who have painted pictures or drawn drawings of Jesus, but we have to understand that doesn't show his divine nature. That shows his human nature, that he lived among us within about 33 years, but it wasn't his complete and full divine nature. And so if we only look at his humanity, yeah, we'll get a picture of what Jesus may have looked like, but we cannot forget about his divinity, the fact that he was God in the flesh. And so we should not only focus on the man Jesus without remembering the fact of his divinity. So having put all this together, God is described in the Bible with having certain body parts and body functions in certain passages of the Bible. Why does he do that? Why does the Bible talk about his eyes, his feet, his hands, his mouth, and his nostrils, or all these different things? Why does it do that? Well, we'll talk about that next Theology Thursday. But the key thing is he's trying to get us to understand a little bit more about himself in ways that we can relate with. But it does not mean that he actually has these physical attributes, but it helps us better understand God's emotions or God's actions when he describes them in ways that we can understand. We'll talk more about that next week. But again, thank you so much for watching us this week on Theology Thursday. I'm Gene Calderon with Gene Calderon Apologetics Ministries. If you're looking to support a local missionary, that's what I am here in Northwest Indiana, specifically with Purdue University Northwest, as I serve Ratio Christi on that campus. And again, serving at my local church, serving Northwest Indiana and the Chicagoland area to be able to give everybody a better understanding of why we believe what we believe and be willing enough to share that with others who may have questions. Thank you so much for watching. God bless, and I hope to see you soon.